Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on wherever you're joining us this beautiful day. Welcome to Diary of Hackers. I want to welcome you all for making it to and congratulate you for making it to this wonderful session. This beautiful day. I want everybody to clap for himself for joining us and finding the opportunity to we thank God for making us alive today and to witness this wonderful day. So I sincerely want to appreciate everybody for making it to this wonderful diary. That is diary 11. We've come all the way from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 11, and some of us have been so glued to the session. I just hope you find it so interesting and useful in your career journey. Yeah, so I want to welcome our speaker for today in person of Mr. Oluwafemi Osho. He's a mentor, he's a coach, he's a daddy, he's a lecturer in of cybersecurity science in the Federal University of Technology, Minna, here in Nigeria. And so we'll be starting our academia series today. And next week, hopefully, we hope to have a lecturer from the Federal University of Akure, and then we'll switch over to Kenya. Mind you, our IoT training is still coming up. Maybe the second week of maybe next week, sure. So just make sure you follow us on our Twitter handle for more information. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us this wonderful session. So I'll read out who he is so that for some of us that don't know him, you get to know him better. So Oluwafemi Osho is a lecturer in the Department of Cybersecurity Science, Federal University of Technology, Minna. Prior to this position, he headed the IT Systems Department in one of the leading mortgage banks in Nigeria. He is a certified ethical hacker with expertise in cybersecurity, privacy, and trust. He is a member of different national and international associations, including the Global Commission for the Stability of Cyberspace Research Advisory Group. That's a wonderful one. And also a member of the Cybersecurity Expert Association of Nigeria. If you were there last year, I think you will see him. He made a wonderful presentation in the Cybersecure 2019. Yeah, so Oluwafemi has published more than 30 research papers, oh my God, in reputable journals, conference proceedings, and other platforms. So he has served as speaker, panelist, reporter, and of organizing committee in different conferences. So he's passionate about educating young internet users on appropriate online behaviors and empowering them to self-regulate their online behaviors to to more effectively manage online risk. Thank you very much, sir, for coming, and we hope we have a wonderful time together today. So before we start, sir, can you kindly give us your experience in the cybersecurity field so far?
Okay, thank you. Maybe I should start by saying thank you for inviting me. I feel very honored to be on this platform, and I'm really highly um, happy, very happy that one of my students is the one who founded this platform, and I think I can see Ako Anthony, who was a former student of the department. So for me, it's a privilege to be here, and I'm happy. My journey into cybersecurity actually, I happened by accident, kind of. It was not intended because when my first degree was mathematics and computer science, and I wanted to lecture, so I did my master's in mathematics. Somehow I think you said a lot of things when you were introducing me. Somehow I ended up in Abuja in a mortgage bank where I was asked to head their IT department. And one of the things we did, that was when I started professionally, started dealing with IT really professionally and a bit of cybersecurity because as the head of IT, the bank then was just expanding. Initially, it used to be like a two-branch bank, but we started expanding. Then, okay, no, yes, then they had branches in a few other states. So I was in charge of making sure that everything was networked and the rest of them. So that was why how I started. I would say my first contact with cybersecurity. At the time, I had to develop the IT policy and strategy for the bank, and we had to connect the all the branches in Abuja. I was in charge of the contract, of making sure that everything went well, and so on. So basically, that was how I started. But the focus was not really cybersecurity. The focus was IT in general. But when I got opportunity to come to the FUT, uh, uh, luckily for me, in the Department of Cybersecurity, even as at then, I didn't really know much. Most people, when they hear cybersecurity, the first thing that comes to their head is cyber cafe or cyber crime, and so on. So I came into the department and sincerely speaking, I fell in love with it immediately. So for the last 10 years, close to 10 years, by August 10, I'll be, August 12th, I would have clocked 10 years in the department. So basically, for me, it's been more of teaching students and producing cybersecurity professionals, and at the level of research. That's basically what I have been doing, mostly in the area of cybersecurity. Like you said, I'm a certified ethical hacker. I'm still working on other things. Currently, um, let me say I've left the university and I'm schooling somewhere. Yeah, so I'm also aiming to improve myself skills wise and in other ramifications. So basically, I think that is all about me, except anyone has question, which we'll talk about later.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Okay, sir. Can we go straight to the presentation now? We'll be talking about internet addiction, and well, as a cybersecurity enthusiast,
Hello, hello, hello.
as a professional now. Hello, sir.
Okay, I can hear you now. Sorry,
All
the
right.
thing hung. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, I just finished talking about the internet addiction and how we can use that to, help our professional engagement. So, we'll be glad if you can take us to the dive, sir. Let's roll.
Okay. Unfortunately, I can't see anyone except the uh, Joshua himself. I wish I could see everybody so that I will see if you are following me or not. But I'm going to be sharing a slide.
Okay,
Uh,
so we have quite a number of people
uh,
that have commented on the chat box.
yes, I think I saw a couple of people. Yes, I think I saw them. Sorry, can we see the slide?
Yes, we
I want to be
can.
sure that.
If you can just make it to be in slideshow.
Yes, I'll do
Yeah,
that.
yes, sir.
I think you can see it now.
Yeah, very clearly.
Okay. Basically, I'm going to be talking about internet addiction, and my focus would be on. Uh, I want to focus on two aspects. Uh, we are all cybersecurity enthusiasts and professionals, and I'm going to focus. I'm looking at internet addiction from our own perspective and from the perspective of other people that maybe family members, friends, colleagues who don't really understand cybersecurity that much. Now, on our own side, I want to look at internet addiction from two aspects too. So as I'm speaking with this, scope in mind. That is you, uh, by default, being a cybersecurity expert or cybersecurity professionals or enthusiast, by default, you have to relate with the internet. There's no doubt about that. But as you relate with the internet, what do you do on the internet? What do you do with the internet? That is what I'm going to be looking at. That's what I'm going to be focusing on. How do we ensure that when you go on the internet, by default, you do what you are supposed to be doing? That is one aspect. The other aspect is how do we help those around us to ensure that they don't, fall into internet addiction? A lot of people don't know. Now, I want to assume that internet is our own workspace. So the analogy I'm going to give is this: when you go to work, you have a responsibility to make sure that in your workplace and every work material that you have, I'm sure that in your organization, whether in your school, as long as you are given a workspace and materials to work with, there are rules that guide how you conduct, how you comport yourself in those places, how you make use of the materials. That is one aspect. Then you also have a responsibility to everybody else, your colleagues in the office, your colleagues in the school, to make sure that that workspace or school space or work material that you are handed, that you are given, that you are privileged to have, you use it to the benefit of others, and you also try to ensure that others also use them responsibly. So that is what we are going to be looking at: internet addiction, avoiding the pitfall. First, I'm going to be introducing a bit, then I'll talk about internet addiction, what it means. Then I'll introduce you to what we call internet addiction test, which you can even perform yourself. Then how do we address internet addiction before I believe we'll go into the question and answer session. Now, when you woke up this morning, sorry, me, I haven't slept. It's just around 4 past 4 here, but I'm sure in Nigeria now it's currently past 10. When you woke up this morning, what was the first thing that you did? What was the first thing that you did? If you prayed when you woke up, I think that's a good way of using your time. Um, if you went online to check about the status of coronavirus, that is not bad. I think it's good to be updated with what is going on around us. But if the first thing you did was to pick up your phone and to be checking your social media, you went on Twitter, you went on Instagram, not for something serious, then we may have a problem. We may have a problem. If that is the first thing you woke up to do this morning, just going to your social media site to see chats, to see your friends, then we may have a problem. Now, my concern is this, and I think it should be the concern, your concern too, and the concern of every one of us who call ourselves cyber security or cyber enthusiasts or cyber security professionals. We are getting to a point where before people sleep, the last thing they do is to go online and, stay long hours on social media, long hours on the internet doing things that will not benefit them, not socially, not benefit them, even professionally. You just stay on the bed instead of sleeping. You spend long hours doing frivolous, unserious things on the internet. We are getting to a point where in our homes, people spend more time on their phone than socialize with one another. I remember growing up in Lagos, we used to, in the evenings, especially when there were when NEPA didn't give us power, children, we will just gather outside in the night and, we'll be telling ourselves stories. We usually have adults that tells us stories. And, the bond that we shared are so strong that many of those people will still communicate today. Why? Because we would say there were no, phones. Very few people had phones, not even mobile. It was this Nitel phone. But what I'm saying is that families bonded together. We had instances where family bonded seriously together, but we don't see that anymore. You see a parent, a father just comes from work, and the next thing he does, he goes into the room, removes his clothes, he comes into the room, he's on the phone. He's trying to keep up, catch up with all the friends who had sent, maybe WhatsApp messages and the rest of them. The same thing with the children. And that is one of the problems for me personally. Even while I was still in the school, it's still a problem for me. It's a concern. I've been looking at, I've been watching closely, and I see our cultural values eroding seriously. I'm seeing situations, I'm seeing homes where people don't come together again to do what they are supposed to be doing together. That is gisting, asking about each other's welfare, and the rest of them. It's a concern for me, and I think it should be a concern for every one of us, for ourselves and for those that we love. Now, there was a research on teenagers' online risk exposure. That is how much they use the internet, and more than half said several times a day or constantly they use the internet. As I'm reading out these statistics, I think you can begin, me and you too, we can begin to look at ourselves. Where do I fall in? Am I guilty in this area? Am I guilty in that area? You know, uh, 33.5% of parents said they did not set rules about internet usage. It was a research we carried out where we asked some teenagers some questions, some people. That's when I say teenagers, including university students, and up to two-thirds said they couldn't or were not sure they could handle any online risk or threat that comes their way, and so on and so forth like that. And we find ourselves in a situation where schools do not have any program or activity that help children to deal with online risk. Now, if you don't know how to bail yourself out, if you are exposed to risk online, and you spend most of your time, most of your valuable time online, then it means you are exposing yourself to serious trouble. And we've gotten to the point where you see a lot of people, the research we carried out, about 16%, that means 16 out of 100 teenagers confess that they sent their nude pictures to someone they met only online, at least once. That means some did it more than once. That's what it means. So where are we heading to? That's my concern now. Where are we heading? We are getting to the point where the only skills that people would have is, you have a situation where they are interviewing somebody and he's telling you that, okay, they ask him question, what is your leadership skill? And he said, no, I've been an admin for 17 WhatsApp group. Nothing else. That's the only experience he or she has had. We might get to a point where if people continue at this rate of using the internet, using it not for something that are meaningful, things that are meaningful, but just for, in quotes, socializing, you get to the point where people will feel really handicapped when their phone is lost. Not because they are missing their data, their office data or very valuable data, but just because they just feel that with my phone lost now, I can't browse WhatsApp again. I can't go on Facebook. I can't go on Instagram. I can't go on Twitter again, and so on. That is their concern, and so they feel handicapped. We are getting to a point where people's hands will start paining them. As I'm saying all these things, is I'm also thinking about myself. Where nursing homes, we have to be open. We are going to have addiction recovery center where people come for, to be treated for internet addiction or social media addiction. That is where we are heading to. So the question is, what is internet addiction? I think it's very key for us to know. Now, internet addiction is a pattern of using the internet that result in disturbances in the person's life. I think this is very, very key. When you begin to use the internet and it gets to a point where it becomes, instead of being a positive, tool, it is becoming a problem in your life. Some people might say, thank God I've not been in that situation. But just wait a minute. will understand what it means when we say disturbances in a person's life. I think one way of just putting it this way is, if you are using the internet and it has getting to a point where others cannot enjoy your attention, where internet has become more like that is the number one thing to you, then we might be getting to a point where maybe you are getting addicted to the internet, or we'll say you are abusing the internet. Now, it has been discovered that excessive of use of internet triggers what we call dopamine. Dopamine, they call it the feel-good neurotransmitter, and it is like a chemical that is released in your brain that promotes pleasurable experience. Now, please listen. It is this same dopamine that people that take drugs like cocaine, heroin, this is the same thing they feel. It is this same chemical that is released in their brain. Whenever they take cocaine, whenever they take whatever kind of drugs they take, they begin to feel good. It is the same thing that happens when you use the internet excessively. You get to the point where anytime you are off internet, you begin to feel incomplete. You don't feel yourself anymore. I think we need to begin to, as I'm talking, we need to begin to examine, to x-ray ourselves. Have I gotten to that point? Can I actually do without, if the next 2 hours, if I don't carry my phone to check, how will I feel? Whenever I'm on the internet, how do I feel? These are things, these are, what do you call them? What we can use to diagnose ourselves, to determine where we are at currently. So when you begin to use the internet and it is resulting in disturbances in your own life, and your use of internet, for example, is affecting other people around you, it is affecting your responsibility, then you should know that that's a signal that possibly you are getting addicted already to the internet, or you are abusing the internet. So how do we do the test? How do you know? There are about 20 questions that you can ask. And where you fall, usually I will show you after the presentation, I will show you there's an Excel file that I prepared with this, where you are supposed to rate yourself. And maybe after the what do you call it? After the seminar, I'm going to drop it with the admin, Joshua, so that whoever is interested, he can share it, so that you use it to test yourself. And I will encourage you that you give it to other people to use too. Now, when you begin to stay online longer than you intended, then maybe that is a sign. These are 20 signs that you need to look out for. Usually what we do is that we measure ourselves from 0 to 5. By the time you finish, rating yourself on each question, you add them together. The aggregate, that is the total you get, will determine whether you are a moderate user of the internet, or you're a potential internet abuser, or you are already an internet abuser. Your score will determine that. We'll see that on the Excel file, on the Excel sheet. So what are some of the questions? When you begin to stay online longer than you intended, your plan was to spend just 2 hours on the internet. Maybe your plan was, okay, let me just check my mails. I will just do that in 30 minutes. But 1 hour, you are still there. Because you finished checking your mail now, you've entered into something else. 1.5 hours, you are still there. That is an evidence that you're already abusing the internet. If your use of the internet, you are staying on the internet so much that you are beginning to neglect responsibility or chores, to spend more time online, that is a red flag. You are preferring the excitement of the internet rather than intimacy or relationship with your partner or friends. In other words, you prefer to be on the internet rather than come and stay with other people, gist with your friends and the rest. The situation is so bad. Sometimes I'm stuck. I'm stuck in awe. You see friends, some of them are talking. I've had instances, even where I am currently, where my friends come to the house, we put in maybe Netflix and we're watching movie, and you see everybody else is on their phone. They are watching movie and at the same time they are on their phone. I don't know how people manage to multitask. I don't know how you manage. You come to my house for us to sit down and enjoy ourselves, watch movie, make comments, and socialize. But while you are watching the movie, you are also on your phone. I don't know how people manage to do that, but that is the situation where we have gotten ourselves. You prefer the excitement of the internet to intimacy, or really intimacy to relationship with your partners, with your friends, with your father, with your family member, your spouse, or with your children. With your children. How many of us, when we get home, maybe after this seminar, what are you going to do? Today is Saturday. You are a father, you are a mother, you are a child in the home, your parents are around. Some of us will say, but even my parents, they don't even have time for me. In your own way, your own, what effort have you made to make sure that that intimacy, that relationship is is sustained in the family, you know, and so on. What is the plan after you finish this seminar? What is your plan? I hope some of us will not remain in quotes on the internet, browsing Facebook. During this lockdown, what have you been doing? What have you used this lockdown to do? Because many of us now have not been able to go to school. For me personally, I get impressed when I go on platforms like LinkedIn, and I see a lot of people coming up to display their achievements. I just did this IBM certification free. So many online platforms now that are offering free, what do you call them, free they offer a lot of free schools, classes, in different areas of cybersecurity. I've been seeing a lot of my friends, they post their achievements. I just did this test and I passed it. A lot. Some people have even used this opportunity to delve into other areas. For example, you are in cybersecurity, maybe you would like to be a motivational speaker and so on. Some people have done, training on, they've used this lockdown period to enhance their capacity in other areas. These are things I expect I'll be using internet for. But when your plan is just to stay, you spend 2 hours on Twitter. From there, you move into Instagram. You will comment on everybody's post. Some of us, we are in this habit. I notice that very more often on Facebook. So you are doing birthday today, and people are greeting you. And for everybody's message, you have to respond to each person. So if 100 people commented, say happy birthday, you say thank you. Everybody. Then after that, the next day or 2 days later, you'll still come and do a special post. I want to say a very good thank you to everybody that welcomed. We have that time to do those things, but we will hardly be able to stay in front of the system to go through maybe a training, a course, a cybersecurity course that is free online. We hardly, are able to squeeze out such time. Those are some of the issues. So when you begin to prefer the excitement of the internet to relationship with your partners, your spouse, your parents, your children, your colleagues, then you have a problem. You have a problem. Another signal, what we use again to also check is when you are able to form new relationship, very easily with fellow online users. Some of us, we are in the habit, everybody that wants to connect with you, that sends you a friend request, everybody you connect with them, you accept. You don't even bother to check whether do I know this person, in which way my friendship with this person, can this person, it's very easy for us. Meanwhile, we struggle to maintain our relationships offline. Some of us are so bad. You don't even know, guys, you don't even know how to tell a lady. You want to ask a lady out. You don't even know how to do that anymore. Why? Because social media has spoiled us. All we need to make new friends on social media is just a click. And so we are losing our capacity to socialize, to actually socialize. Why? Because the online world, sincerely speaking, is not the same thing as the offline world. And because everything is always a click away, 1 or 2 clicks away online, and we think that's why we are beginning to struggle. And that's why people are losing man management skill. They find it difficult to relate in a team, and the rest of them. You go for interviews, you struggle. These are issues that point to abuse of the internet and potential internet addiction. Others in your life complain to you about the amount of time you spend online. That's a red flag. Your grade, your schoolwork, or official duty, they suffer because of the amount of time you spend online. That is a red flag. You check the internet before something else that you need to do. That is a problem. Many of us will do that a lot. For every time you are working, every 5 minutes you check the internet. Every 2 minutes you check the internet. That is an evidence, or that is a signal, a symptom that you are abusing the internet. Your job performance or productivity is suffering because of the internet. Now, like I said when I started, I don't want us to confuse the time that we spend doing our job on the internet with doing things that are not, that just maybe just frivolous things. They are two different things. Some of us, by virtue of the nature of our job, we are required to spend virtually maybe the entire time in the office on the internet, and even maybe when you get home during weekends, you're expected to do some official duties on the internet. That is understandable. That is your job. In such instance, internet is a tool that you use to discharge your responsibilities. But what we are focusing on here is when you just use the internet merely to socialize. Yes, it is not wrong to use the internet to socialize, but when you do that to the detriment of other more important things, that is the focus of my talk. That is the focus. When you use the internet, when you spend so much time on the internet that it begins to affect your relationship with others, it begins to affect your productivity, it begins to affect your capacity to function effectively offline, then we have a problem. Other symptoms: when you become defensive or secretive when anyone asks you what you do online, that is an issue. Some are getting to the point, or some have gotten to the point where only internet is the only thing that pleases them, that helps them. They feel good. That is these are the I would call it the high level of addiction, where whenever you are offline, you are not yourself. But once you are online, you smile. The best you facially, is seen. You smile. That is when you are happy. That is when you are comfortable. That's when you are relaxed. Only the internet gives you that. Then you're already at the level of guys that smoke weed, or that smoke, that inject cocaine or heroin and the rest of them. You find yourself anticipating when you will go online again. You can't wait. As somebody is talking to you, it's only your body that is there. Your mind is somewhere else. Your mind is already on the internet. You just want to see what Davido just posted. You want to see just what this actor or actress just posted. And that's all we do. Meanwhile, those people that we go and visit their site on Instagram, they are busy making money. Some of us don't know all the whatever, because they are influencers. Many of them are influencers online because they are big whatever. For each the post they post online, there's a number of clicks they get. They make money from some of those things. But we call ourselves fans. We spend our time wasting our time online, watching their pictures, watching their videos, and so on, watching them fight one another, whereas they have planned all those things behind the scene. They are making money from all those things, and we are wasting our time. You find yourself anticipating when you will go online again. That is an issue. You fear that life without the internet will be boring, will be empty and joyless. That is another symptom. You snap, you yell, you act annoyed. If someone bothers you while you are online, that is a problem. You lose sleep due to late night internet browsing. I'm almost sure many of us were guilty of this. You know, we don't sleep early. We know we have to wake up by 8 in the morning. And we are, by default, we are supposed to get maybe 6 or 7 hours, but 3 a.m. you are still on the internet chatting. Feeling preoccupied with the internet when offline, or fantasizing about being online. That is another red flag. You find yourself saying just a few more minutes when you're online. That's another red flag. You try to cut down the amount of time you spend online and fail. You try to hide how long you've been online. You choose to spend more time online over going out with others. That is a problem. One of the things I've talked about. We are having a situation where people are becoming incapable socially offline. They are becoming incapable. They are finding it difficult to sustain relationships, finding it difficult to maintain relationships. Why? Because they spend more time online. You feel depressed, you feel moody, you feel nervous whenever you are offline. But once you are back online, you are back to yourself. Those are signs of what do you call them? Call it internet addiction. And many people are falling. They are either potential internet abusers or there are few people who are already internet abusers. And so, what can we do? What can we do? I think one of the things we can do is to cut down on number of social network sites. Yes, except instance where these things are essential, they are part of the tools you use, officially. Yes, we can cut down. Uh, Luckily for us, there are professional sites like LinkedIn where we do things that are correct. Uh, some of the other things you can do, for example, what I did, I don't use Instagram, for example. I started using Twitter last year because I felt that okay, I could use it to also promote myself. So I decided that okay, when I was going to start using Twitter, I decided that I was only going to use Twitter only for cybersecurity, for the purpose of cybersecurity learning, interacting with the cybersecurity community and the education community. Since I was in the education sector, being a lecturer, so what I did was the only people I follow are those that are in the cybersecurity community or who are in the education community, maybe educational consultants or teachers and so on. That is all I do. So whenever a lot of my friends here are saying, this is what is trending on Twitter, this is what happened in Nigeria, I don't get to see all those things. Why? Because I've decided that my Twitter is only going to be used for professional, purpose alone. I don't want to know what's happening in Nigeria. Yes, I'm interested in news. I read whenever I go online. I read newspapers. But on Twitter, I don't want to spend my time, looking at what do you call this Kogi senator, this popular one that used to
Dino
this funny one.
Melai.
Yes, Dino Miller. I'm not interested in all those things. What those people are doing. That is what I do. So I only follow those few people that are outside cybersecurity and educational sector. Very few other people, maybe people that I've seen over time that they make sense whenever they make contributions. Those are the only things I do. We can do that too. On the same thing with our Facebook, you ensure that only your friends and make some restrictions on what you do on Facebook. For example, I decided that things like birthday, you know, I won't. I won't. There are information, a lot of information that I've decided that I will not be putting online. Initially, I used to do those things before, but at the moment I became more cybersecurity conscious, that some of this data even can be used against you, I decided to do that. So when you reduce your online presence, one way of doing it is to cut down on number of social network sites. That's one way. Another way is, if you cannot cut down, is to reduce I'll call it your footprint online. Yes. And one way to do that is some of these things that I've talked about. Make up your mind that there are things you will not post online. Make up your mind that there are people you will not connect to. There's nothing wrong in going through your friend list and beginning to unfriend some people. That's the truth. Unfriend some people. And I think also one way is to also ensure that we spend more time on the internet, enhancing our skills rather than just socializing, using the internet as a tool to better ourselves. All I am saying now is not only for us, also it is for the people around us. So I want to encourage you that as cybersecurity professionals, you have a responsibility to enhance your own self, your skill, and also to enhance, make the people around you, make their life also better, cybersecurity wise. So we need to also advocate, just like I am advocating now, for people to use the internet more responsibly, more responsibly. When we were young, I don't know how many of you know about Tales by Moonlight. It's a program on NTA where children used to gather around an adult and they would tell them a story. These were things like when I started, I said we were used to growing up. What I'm trying to bring out here is that I want us to go back to those times. Yes, we may not gather anymore outside, but there's nothing wrong in making sure in setting rules in the house. For those of us who are parents, even if you are a child, you are matured enough to tell your parents that, Mommy, Daddy, whenever we are, can we have a rule that once it is 6, everybody drops their phone? We use the remaining time to either watch TV or to just gist. Yes, we can do that. That's the truth. We can do that. Like in my home, before I left Nigeria, that's what we do. We have time. Once we finish dinner, the children goes and go to take their bath. Once it is around 8 o'clock, everybody stays. We don't go on our phone. We're watching TV or we have a game or we are telling stories. Or that's what we do with my children until they go into sleep around 9 o'clock. Then my wife and I maybe we watch the news, and we gist. That's what we usually do. Those things they are intent. We did it intentionally, and sincerely speaking, we've been better for it. My relationship with my wife is sound. My relationship with my children, very sound. Those are some of the things that we can do to return, that family bond, to return that family bond. Another thing we can do to keep your sanity is to be doing fasting. Yes, many of us don't understand when we hear fasting. The only thing that enters that we think about fasting is food. No, fasting basically is when you abstain from something that your body is used to. And for many of us, yes, the typical thing is food. We can't do without food. Yes, that's why fasting most of the time, is usually focused on abstinence from food. But we can also do things like internet fast. You can decide that, okay, every Saturday or every Sunday, I'm not going to go online, except when it is essential for your work. You can decide that, and I'll use that time productively. Recently I've been impressed with what I've been seeing online. People have been posting books. They've been doing this reading challenge. Post 7 books or finish 1 book in a week and so on. When you finish, you post it online and you pass the challenge to somebody else. I think it's a good thing. It's high time we brought back, such practices, where you do book, you can decide to say, okay, throughout the weekend, I'm not going to do social media. Sincerely speaking, the period you will spend doing that, you use it, and I'm going to use that time, I'll use that time to read, or I'll use that time to improve myself. I'll use that time to, to chat with my family, and so on. Do that for a month and see what the results will be. For me, that is one of the things we can do to help ourselves. Thank you for listening. And like I said, this is the internet addiction test kit. That's what I call it. By the time you feel, as you are filling in values, it's supposed to be 0 is never, depending on what the question is. 1 is very rarely, 2 is rarely, 3 is occasionally, 4 is often, and 5 is always. Now, based on what you feel, as you are feeling, it is aggregated here, it is added here. And depending on your final score, if you get within less than 40, we are okay. You are an average user. But if your total falls between 40 to 69, you are a potential internet abuser. But once you get 70 upward, then you're already an internet abuser. Maybe you need to see a doctor, and so on. So like I said, I'll be sharing this with Joshua so that whoever is interested, you can just use that to test yourself. I think that will be all with my presentation. I hope I was able to use my 30 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. This is such a wonderful session, I must admit. So insightful and so much intriguing. Yeah, thank you for that word, Mr. Dan. So thank you very much, sir, for this wonderful session. Well, I don't know where I fall. Either I think I'm
Potential
already
or
an addict. With the test kit, I'll try out the test kit and see. So everybody will get the test kits delivered to his email as long as you've registered for this session. So we'll send it to your emails. Go. All right. I think I saw this post. Sam said someone made a comment that he would rather be addicted to the internet than to drugs at some point. My question is, are there positive sides to internet addiction? Because I will also want to believe there are two sides to a coin. More like if what you consider to do online is just personal development and less of frivolities. Also, sir, how can we be of help to others who are addicts already and don't want to accept the fact that they're already addicts? So these two questions, I think. Yes, yeah, we can enable your mic.
sorry. Uh, Please, I want you to understand when I say internet addiction, it does not necessarily mean uh, it's not just a function of the amount of time that you spend on the internet. For example, I'm schooling currently, and once we resume for fall, we are likely going to be delivering my lectures is going to be most of the time online. So I might find myself a situation where I'll be spending up to 8 to 10 hours attending lecture and maybe doing assignments. In that case, you can't say I'm addicted to the internet because I need it for my school. Some of us we are already working at home now. Currently, we are working at home because of coronavirus. So you spend your 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 at home, and even after that, you still do other after job, after office work online. That is not internet addiction. What I said internet addiction is when you begin to use the internet to the point where it becomes a disturbance to you and maybe to other people around you. That is when it is an addiction. So it is not only a function of time, it is a function of the time you spend and its effect on you. So if all you do on the internet from morning till night is to use it to work, you use it to school, you use it to develop yourself, to enhance yourself, your capacity, yes, that is a fine thing. That is a correct thing, a correct usage. That's even normally what the internet was meant for. For those of you who know the story of the internet, when internet started, it started by 5 universities that came together, to just form a network, and it was meant for like more of like a repository of resources where you go, you put information there, you post documents and you put it there. And those 5 people they were able to easily access. Maybe this university, what this person is working on, he posted it online. And others from the university were able to access it. It was more of a repository of information or resources. That was the purpose of the internet. But today, the usage of the internet has been extended. And for us, we can make the best use of it by using it to enhance our capacity, by using it to aid our job, to aid whatever we are doing in life. So, as long as you are doing that, that is not addiction. But when you spend most of your time on the internet doing things that will not contribute to your professional well being or that is affecting your relationship with others, then that is addiction. And please, I would advise the person who said, I would rather be addicted to the internet than to drug. They are the same. Yes, they are the same. Because at the end of the day, you look at the effect. Internet, you look at the effect on your health. Don't forget that even your exposure to monitor, and so on, to raise coming from the monitor is a problem in the first place. Then when you begin to have a problem where maybe you marry and you spend more time on the internet, on socializing, than you spend more time than your wife, do you think your family will, you think there'll be harmony between you and your wife? I don't think so. It's the same thing too when you smoke too much and the rest of them. So I think I've answered enough. Then the issue is how can we help others? Like I said, I think it is also good. Just like we are discussing on this platform, you should also let them know too. Maybe you've seen one or two people that you feel that okay, they fall into the category of maybe potential abusers or abuser with their life. I think it will be good to just point their attention to it. Maybe you give them the kit too, to undergo the test. But there's only so much you can do to help somebody who wants, who doesn't want to be helped. Yes, except you have a measure of a level of or some measure of authority over that person. For example, you are the boss in the office, and one of your subordinates is, misbehaving, spends too much time on the internet, and so on, and you feel that is affecting that person's productivity. As the boss, I think you have the authority to say, to lay down some rules. But if it is not at that level, there's only so much you can do to help that person. If somebody does not want to be helped, so you can't help the person. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for that. I think there's also one question. Yeah, he said, my question is more like from a psychological perspective. I would like to know, sir, if internet addiction can be regarded as a distinct mental disorder, or because often we just can't help it.
Okay. Uh, um,
Did you get that? Did you
yes,
get
I
that?
did. I can even see the question now. Um,
Okay, okay.
like I said, while I don't know if this person had joined when I was talking, that research has shown that excessive internet usage releases a chemical, in our brain that is called dopamine. And it is the same chemical that is released when people who smoke, people who are addicted to smoking and to drugs and to heroin, is the same. They call it the feel-good neurotransmitter. That means it has psychological perspective. The effect is that um, just like I've not taken drugs before, so I don't know what those people feel. But with my little knowledge of what we read online, it's like they feel high, they feel on top of the world whenever they have taken those drugs. They feel confident when they have taken those drugs. When they inject those drugs, they feel they can solve. They feel confident. So it's the same thing too. When you get to the point where your confidence only comes when you're online, when you feel happy when you're online, like those 20, what do we call it? Those symptoms we I talked about. When you begin to feel that you rate high in many of those things, then already we have a problem, and that's a psychological problem. Now you're saying that oftentimes we just cannot help it. The fact that you cannot help it is a sign that you are already abusing it. And that is why you need to pipe low. And one of the ways I said we can control that is to fast, social media fast, internet fast. Yes, you can decide to say, I'm going to off my phone the whole of today. I'm not going to go on the internet. You can decide to do that. Or throughout this week, I'm not going to use Facebook at all. These are way, the truth is that the solution will not fall down from heaven. Just like someone who is addicted to drugs, just like somebody who's addicted to drugs, there's only so much that a doctor can do to help such people. The individual must be willing to be helped. The individual must be willing must be ready, must be resolute that, please, I want to stop this drug. I need help. It's the same way, too. If you cannot help it, it's a sign that there is a problem. And there are things you can do, which I've already mentioned. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I think that's all the questions we have. So we have a lot of comments. Thank you very much for this sensitive and educative presentation. So thank you guys for joining us this wonderful time. So please, if you've learned one thing or the other, you can tweet about us. Then you tag us on Twitter at Diary of Hackers. Then our Telegram page, I'm dropping the link now in the chat box, is Diary of Hackers. Then our website, diaryofhackers.com, of course. So we'll be updating it as well. So as I've said, the IoT training will come up next. So we had a wonderful time with the OWASP Top 10 challenge last month. So this month we'll be focusing on IoT. So please tell others about Diary of Hackers so we can have a larger community and so we grow together. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us this time. I want to sincerely appreciate you. Mohammed Ishaq is saying hi to you. Oh, yeah, we have missed him, Sha. Oh, yeah, we have missed him, Sha. All right, so bye bye.